Good morning. Welcome back to my lymphoma story. Thanks for continuing to watch and like and subscribe. I started these a long time ago in an attempt to help other people that might be going through a similar journey to me. So this part is part 14, and part 14 I've called Diagnosis plus 3 years. So today, March the 20th, 2026, is my 3 years since I originally got diagnosed. My problem started in January 23, but the official diagnosis came on the 20th of March 2023, where I discovered that I had Non-Hodgkin's follicular lymphoma and diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. So part 14, I've covered obviously my whole journey throughout right from the start. So if you want a more in-depth detail of how I coped and managed and what different treatments were like, and scans and blood tests and everything else, then they've all been documented in previous episodes. So please feel free, if you haven't seen them and you're interested, to drop back and have a look at those. But to give you some idea of what I've been through in the last 3 years, I'm just going to run briefly through it. So I had a biopsy on the 20th of February, which was confirmed, as I say, today on the 20th of the 3rd, 23. I then had 6 rounds of R-CHOP chemotherapy, numerous PET scans. In total so far to date I've had 8 in total PET scans. I go into some detail about those in a previous episode, like I say. Then I had a biopsy operation to see if they could find any traces of cancer left after a CT scan prior to that operation. Then I had an ultrasound biopsy because the findings of the surgical biopsy wasn't exactly clear. Then I had another. It was found that the R-CHOP had done part of the job. It had cleared me of the follicular lymphoma, but it had left me with the diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Sadly, that's the one that's very aggressive and acts quickly, so that was the one I really wanted to get rid of, but I was left with that one. So the decision then was to put me at a session of CAR T therapy, which I go into in depth in the previous episode. So prior to the CAR T, I had my cells harvested, which is a little bit like being on a kidney machine, I think, circulating your blood and taking out the cells they need. Then they send them away to a lab in Holland. Then I had 10 rounds of radiotherapy, some more chemotherapy. That was lymphodepletion, basically to remove any remaining cells prior to my returning cells from Holland being put back in. So they put those back in. I was an inpatient from the 10th of the 7th 24 to the 13th of the 8th 24, so quite some considerable time, longer than normal, because I was away from home, because I live in the island of Guernsey, and this was being completed in Southampton General. Also had a few difficulties where I needed intensive care for a few days, 4 days. So I was released from that then, and then I had a CT head scan and an MRI scan because I had severe sinusitis. Then I had an ECG as well with that. Then I had a bowel scan because I was having problems with my bowel. Now this looks like it probably stemmed from when they went in and did a surgical biopsy. So I was in hospital with a problematic bowel. They released me. Caught COVID while I was in hospital, so I had to get rid of that. Then I was in hospital for the bowel again because the first stint hadn't fixed the problem, and they decided at that point then that they needed to operate again, and they went in and found some adhesions, basically my bowels being strangled by some thin strips, so they cut those away and removed those. And while they were in there, they did another biopsy of the remaining tumour. So the CT, we knew from PET scans that the 3 areas of diffuse large B cell, 2 small ones which were removed by the CAR T, but then the brightest one, the biggest one in my stomach, was still large. Yeah, took a biopsy of that, and then that biopsy came back cancer free. PET scan still showed illustrated activity, well, brightness on the PET scan, which is a sign of activity. So they left it a few months, and then I did another one. That one then illustrated another sign of activity. Sit down for a minute. Everything else was looking good. All my weight was coming back, and I was generally in a much better place than where I'd been previously. My dog deciding he wants to walk, so he whines when he wants to walk. Wait. Yeah, but because of the activity on the PET scans, they were happy with my well-being and my weight coming back, that I was in some form of remission, but they wouldn't stay full remission because of the brightness. However, they did say the brightness could be down to scar tissue and things like that from the operation. So entirely plausible. So we left it go, and the decision was for me to see them periodically then, continue with IVIG because I was immunocompromised, and that would help me. I'll go into detail again on a previous episode about that. And so that sort of brings us up to today, really. So since then, I've had my issue. Cancer-wise, I think I'm still in remission. I think the main issue for problems for me now, I'm generally well, but the problems are that I'm still catching infections from people or from various places, and it means I have to get hospitalised each time and put on a drip, penicillin drip, and what have you, to try and fix the problem. So I've had that 4 times since my CAR T therapy, and my neutrophil count keeps remaining very low. Because of that, after the 4th time in hospital, they decided to put me on filgrastim injections at home. And then finally, they decided that I needed to stay on them longer, so they put me on another one called pegfilgrastim, which is a slow-releasing injection. I think you inject it and then it slowly releases when the body needs it. I think that's how it works. And since I've been starting the injections, I haven't been in hospital. So they seem to have quelled that, which is great. I'm still immunocompromised, so I can't go in crowds. I keep myself to myself, pretty isolated majority of the time. If ever I do have to go anywhere busy, busy with people, I put a mask on. So my life has had to change. Neuropathy from the chemotherapy that I had has damaged. I've got nerve damage in my feet, in my hands originally, but my hands seemed to improve, which was strange. But my feet didn't. My feet got progressively worse. So I've had to have extra tablets for that. It's extremely uncomfortable. All my adult life, my shoe size has been a 9. And now I've had to go up to a size 10, which is strange. But it seems to help. Because anything sort of tight around my feet, it's so uncomfortable, it's unreal. Including the quilt on the bed. Even that I have to kick up high and make like a tent out of it. And so, yeah, that's not great. And fatigue, energy-wise, I do struggle with energy still. So, sadly, that's part and parcel of the episode as well. But on the whole, I'd take it because I'm still alive. I wouldn't be here now doing this if I hadn't had that treatment. I'm so thankful to Southampton Hospital and the staff there for the CAR T and the doctors and the haematologists and everything else. They've been superb, and they're still following up with me now regularly. To see how I'm doing. If I've got any issues, I can contact them. So they've been very good. So that's sort of where I am now. I'm doing less of these updates now, obviously, because there's less happening. But I wanted to do one sort of on the anniversary of my diagnosis. I thought it would be worthwhile. It was a worthwhile point in time to tell you where I'm at. So thanks for continuing to watch. It's really appreciated, and subscribe. Obviously, it's completely free. And if we can help other people with going through a similar process, that's fantastic. The last thing I'd like to just say is, sadly, I've lost another couple of friends to cancer recently. I mean, we're all losing friends and family and stuff to cancer because it takes so many people. But it does make it difficult, really difficult, when you get to know these people or you've been friends with them for a long time, and then suddenly you've made it and they don't. And it's strange, but sort of sounds daft, but a little element of guilt there. And You shouldn't have that thought at all. It's, you know, everyone's fighting their own battle, but it can be difficult at times. And also the anxiety. Every time you get a little problem, you know, a stomach ache, or certain pains, or something wrong, or you know, you're not just go take a turn and you're not so well or whatever. It's so easy to consider that the cancer might be back, and so there's an element of anxiety you have to deal with as well. So even though at the moment, I think I'm still in remission, like I say, but it's still an issue. You've still got after effects of getting through it, you know. So I'm really so pleased that I've managed to get through it, and I hope it stays in remission for as long as possible, obviously. So I've got some kind of a life to see my family grow up. Yeah, but I'll leave it there. But thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate. Spread the word and share and like and subscribe, and I'll do another update. If nothing happens, it'll probably be a good few months to tell you where I'm at. But really appreciate you watching these videos. It's superb. It makes me feel better too as well. So thanks very much for watching. Until next time. See you later.